Hi, Melvin here from CareMed, sitting down with my colleague Nathan to discuss all matters relating to leasing. So Nathan, what would you say are the key benefits of leasing?
Well, the main benefits of leasing, Melvin, is it allows a hospital to spread the cost of a capital purchase over a period of say 2, 3 or even 5 years. But unlike rental, which can be uncontrolled, it allows them to fix the costs of buying that asset right at the beginning of the term.
So tell me about the compliance side of leasing to the NHS.
So leasing is very common in the NHS. It typically would have started with really large purchases like MRI machines, but now it's more common right the way through the different equipment ranges. And yes, the NHS does have certain procurement and finance rules, and the solution that we are providing the NHS for medical seating is fully compliant. And there's 3 main regulations which we can send any customer that requires a document on, which our lease complies with.
It's very interesting, Nathan. So is maintenance included in that?
Yes, certainly. So a lease can include maintenance. In fact, it's important that proof of maintenance can be shown, whether it's us that's providing that to the customer or the customer's doing their own maintenance. But again, it's a great opportunity with a lease, because often money will get provided to buy the capital equipment, and then over the next 1, 2, 3 years it's unclear who's actually going to pay for the maintenance, which leads to equipment breakdowns and frustration for the end user.
What situations would leasing be ideal for?
Ideal for any situation where there's a lot of pressure and demand, like 2023, everybody's talking about the backlogs in the NHS. I know it's not all down to equipment, but extra equipment is needed, but there may not be capital money sitting around waiting to be spent. So high clinical need and a lack of immediately available capital.
So to be honest, sounds like a no-brainer. So is there any situation at all where leasing wouldn't be suitable?
Yes, certainly, Melvin. There are situations where leasing doesn't fit. If the money is charitable, for instance, leasing won't work. Generally, there's a pot of charity money which needs to be spent now. There's no point spreading it over a term. Secondly, if there's a time constraint and capital money which isn't charitable, i.e. there's a budget which needs to be spent on this project, it's already been allocated, the funding is there in place, there's no point spreading it over a lease.
So after 2, 3 or 5 years, what would normally happen at the end of a lease?
Lease can simply end and the equipment is collected back. Option number 2, the hospital can actually purchase the title, i.e. the ownership of the equipment, for a nominal fee, which is 1%. So £35,000 purchase, they'll pay £350, that's it, the equipment belongs to them. Or they can get a renewal quote, so the old equipment is returned and the lease simply rolls on and brand new equipment is provided and the lease starts all over again, the costs are fixed and you're into the next period.
Okay, so in terms of money side of things, give me some examples. How much are we likely to spend?
A little disclaimer, which is the legal bit. So every quotation is going to be slightly different, specifications are going to be different, the cost of finance varies with the interest rate and so on, but here's some ballpark figures. A £35,000 purchase recently was funded by lease, and it boiled down, when you boil it down to the unit cost per item including maintenance, this was for intensive care chairs, it worked out £4.88 per day plus VAT, and that was a reasonable length lease term. And should the hospital want to keep the equipment at the end, all they have to do is pay £350, which secures the title in the goods, and they've managed to spread that purchase over several years rather than take a £35,000 hit right now. Did that background information help, Melvin?
Yes, yeah, it certainly did. And hopefully you people there on YouTube find it helpful as well. Thank you very much, Nathan, for sitting down with me today.
Thank you.